What is up, everybody? It is Saturday. It has been a week. I hope everybody's doing cool. Alright, so, brief introduction. This stream, we're going to be talking about prop design. So, prop design is cool because you get to focus on the smaller details. This piece that I have on the screen right now was, the piece we did last week. A brief introduction to the piece we did last week, in case you didn't see the stream. We were designing a character meeting a spirit fox in a vaguely Japanese graveyard. So, for today's stream, we are going to focus on the shrine in the background, right in the middle. So, I was thinking about, in the last stream, I was talking about how we could do some prop design of like the different stones, the different graves, the bowls, and etc. But the problem with that is that we only have, from 1 to 4, so 3 hours, to do a prop design. And if we do a bunch of different ones, a bunch of little ones, we can't really focus on the details. We're kind of just like scratching them out, roughing out a bunch of different assets. So what I wanted to do instead was to just do the shrine. Reason being is that we can do a front view and a side view. So it feels a bit closer to what we would do in reality when we do prop design, where we have multiple angles, so we have the front view, the side view. I don't know, it depends on the prop, but you could have like top, back, 3/4 angle, something like that. And then, of course, person for scale. So that's the plan. In case you are watching this and confused on who I am, this is now stream number 3. I am working with matte paint. I am an art director, concept artist. I've been at this for about 11 years now, and my background is in game design and film. So I don't know everything, but I can show you at least what I do know how to do. So let's get started. Before we do, what I wanted to do was to just show you how prop design can be so different in the way it's presented. So prop design in general just means that you take, an idea like a rock, a door, like some kind of like asset, a prop, right? And you just need to design it. So you could have, let's say you did the idea that I was talking about with just a bunch of different props. You could have prop 1 here, prop 2 there, big prop here, bigger prop here, some props there, and they kind of fill in the space. And that's cool. You'll get a bunch of props on the page, but you then run into the problem of it's not visually appealing. So whenever you're doing prop design and presenting a piece or a project as we're doing, you want to make sure that it's also visually appealing and clearly, established and cohesive and everything. So we are going to do that in like a visual appealing way. Now, generally in my head, what I was thinking was we have a plane here. Okay, so we just established like a ground plane just by drawing a line, and then we'll have the main shot of the shrine here, so something like here, and then have a side view of the shrine here. So you would have about 70% of the piece, the main shrine, and then about 30% of the piece, the side view. Reason why I'm doing 70-30 is because there is actually a rule in art. Rules are meant to be broken, and when it comes to art rules, at least. So I don't say this in a way that you should always follow this rule. This is more just like a general rule of thumb, kind of like the rule of thirds in photography. So this is the 70-30 rule. Okay, so you have 70% of your screen here. Ignore the scratchy brush that I use. So you have 70% of the screen, this, and then 30% this. 70% A, 30% B. And now the reason why is because, generally speaking, if something is 50-50, let's say I moved asset A to cover just this part of the screen. So then you have about 50-50 on each side. I mean, it works. It feels a bit closer to like Sheogorath from Skyrim, because he was very much like a symmetry guy. But in theory, design tends to look more interesting if you have 70-30. Now, you can see this in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to show you some examples of what I'm talking about. If we go to ArtStation, I personally did this in a couple different ways. So something like this piece that I did. So you can see on this left side of the screen, about 65 to 70% is like the main focus of the image, whereas the other right side of the screen is the other 30% that has a lot less of the focus. I could have put more there, but generally 70-30 just feels a bit more natural because things aren't perfectly balanced. Things haven't been Thanos where there's everything's just perfectly balanced. But if we type in on ArtStation prop design and see what we come up with, or see what pops up at least, we can see different ways that prop designs are presented. Now, of course, some ways read clearer than others, and some ways read, I guess, more interesting than others. So if you're focused on something that's just clear, you just have a job to do, this is fine. You just have a front view of the prop and a back view of the prop, and then different angles. Because then, I mean, this is a 3D model, but because then if a 3D modeler or prop artist needs some kind of reference, they can see every angle of it. Then there's other different ways where you can take a prop and you do something like this, where, like I said, you have a bunch of different size props all kind of laid out onto a piece. This works just as well. The thing is about this, though, is that we can't do it in this stream because this would require, as you can see, each prop is kind of like loosely illustrated and roughly drawn out because they spent most of their time designing different props instead of focusing on just one. So what I wanted to do, because once you see the process for doing just one sketch, you kind of understand the process for all of them. So I just wanted to do one main prop, one focus prop. So we're just going to do the shrine. What's up, Ian and T-Scar? How's it going? Hope you guys had a good week. I was talking to Ian earlier about life. So yeah, that's generally like the different ways you can present props. There's not like a right or wrong way. I mean, even in God of War here, this is prop design 101, where you have the front view of the chest, the side view, the back view, the top view, the 3/4 angle view, and then this is the chest, so it would be, an open interior view, just a patterned example, and then a hinge example. This is all just for one prop, and it's just so the modeler and the texture artist and everything have an idea of what to do, because if you just do the front view, they have to guess everything else, so it's easier for them to just follow your design. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do it, and we're gonna get to it. So back to the blank sheet, which is always rough to look at. So first thing is first, I am going to make this a neutral tone in the background. This blank white is not great to start with. One, because my retinas are on fire just looking at this bright white screen, but two, because if you are designing something with lighting on it, then it's going to be, hard to distinguish the highlights and the shadows. So what I do is I take a neutral shade, gray, maybe colored depending on the thing that I'm designing, and then I just use that as a base. Now, one thing that is cool you can do is if you take the mask lasso square selection marquee, there we go. If you if you take the marquee tool and you just select the image like this, you can create a real quick like a gradient, so that way you can establish different values pretty easily, which is cool. So we're just going to take a darker value, probably lighter value actually, first. So just a little bit lighter. You still want to keep that neutral tone, but we're just going to do a little bit like this, okay, with a soft brush, just a real big, you know, straight right across. And then a darker one. Let's get a darker one in here. Darker one, probably like there or so, and do it down here. There we go. So now you have this established value tone or tone difference, right? So you have like a light coming from above, or it feels like there is because there's a difference in light and shadow. Instead of just establishing what the design is, you can actually play with the lighting a little bit too. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to create a ground plane using the same process. So if we take Control-Shift-I, select inverse, there we go. So if we take this bottom selection down here and we do the same thing but with a darker tone, it'll create a bit of a shadow zone. Shadow zone? Shadowed area, I don't know. There you go. So now you have like a ground plane. What that does is, like, let's say I took a character, something like this. If I had him up here like that, then he is kind of just floating around, right? It makes sense design-wise. You get the design of the character and everything, but he's not really grounded. So if you create some kind of shadowed ground plane, then all of a sudden it feels better. It feels more like he's actually standing on the ground, you know, so you have a better relation to the environment. This is not necessary by any means. If you just want to do a solid black background and then throw in throw in some floating things, you can. This, I think, is just a cleaner way to present it. So now for the shrine though, we're not working with people, so we have to establish where the shrine is going to go. Now when you're doing prop design, you can do silhouettes if you want. It's a good way to start. So let's say, I'm just going to rough this out, so forgive me if it looks terrible. But let's say you're just doing a shrine. Let's break it down in its basic shapes, all right? So a shrine has like the middle section that looks a bit like this. Then it's got a bit of like a walkway, and then you've got the stairs coming down at the bottom. And then you've got a roof, which generally would look closer to like this. Looks terrible. Would look closer to like this kind of idea. Then you can just essentially make a silhouette. So now you've established a shape. You know, there's nothing else to it. This is just a shape of what you were thinking in your head. Now, a good software that I have used in the past is a very old software. It's called Alchemy, and it's this green one right here. I'm just going to open this briefly because we're not going to use it today, but I just thought I'd show you how it works, and it's cool. So if you go to this software, you can add in shapes using vectors. So it'd be like vectorized images, which you can create in Photoshop in certain ways. So I'm going to grab some shapes here. Let's go with the ones that I created, or well, that I found and then created vectorized images of them. If we grab something like this industrial one, so it'll just pull these images in these different shapes and create a vectorized image out of them, right? It looks like a mess, but if we did something, I don't know, like mirrored it and went like this, we've now created a top-down view of like a ship, like a starship or something. We can do the same thing again, and it'll be a little bit different and random, something like that. We can do a little bit up here and kind of go further out that way, and then connect in the middle. You now have an idea. If I use a different shape, something like something like like this one, whoops, like this one, and then do a mirrored, you can create either top down or front view of like starships, spaceships, whatever. And now this is just very basic shapes, right? This is not like creating anything complicated. This is in no way like that one. That looks cool. No way establishing any kind of detail. This is solely just to get your brain flowing on what a silhouette, like what a strong silhouette design would feel like with your ideas. And this software kind of just lets you play around with some ideas without thinking too much at the beginning. You can kind of just start doing some different shapes and see what your brain fills into space. Just a fun software to play with. I just recommend it if you guys ever felt like playing around with some cool silhouette design. So we're not going to save that, and we're going to go back to this. So what I'm going to do, though, because of the fact, of course, time constraints, but also because we've already got a shrine here. We haven't started from scratch. We have a general idea of the shape and design and lighting of the shrine that we like. We can steal our own shrine. So if we go to this image that I created last time, and we're just going to grab half of this shrine because I do want it to be somewhat symmetrical. We're just going to deselect the character. A little bit better, probably. There we go. And then we're going to rough out the design here by deselecting the environment around the shrine. So something like this. There we go. So now we have, somewhat of an established half of a shrine selected. So I am going to then grab the rest of the roof here. I'm going to go around the fox. Something like that. Come back around. Fix that up. Okay. And then we're going to grab this part here. Oh, there we go. And then we'll deselect this rock because we don't want the rock in the design sheet itself. We'll fix that later. We'll actually fake that. Do 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 do. Scuba do 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 do. There we go. All right, so we'll take the rock. We'll take the rock. I'll show you a little trick that you can do to kind of fake that being part of the shrine. And we're just going to actually take that directly from here, from this layer, this image, and we're going to drag it over to our design sheet. So if we just physically grab it, physically grab it, there you go, and then just drag it over to our prop design sheet, and there it is. It looks great. All right, so now we can get a general gist of the size and the placement on the sheet. We'll put it like probably there, give or take. All right, now let's play around with fixing this up. This is by no means going to look great. This is just a way to fill in those gaps that we've created because of the selection. So just use content aware. It'll just grab what's around. Now, because this whole section over here we couldn't grab, we're gonna fake this. So let's just grab this middle piece here. Honestly, we can grab probably like that, and then grab this middle chunk here and here. Copy paste and edit, transform, flip horizontal, and we're gonna line it back up. Something like, trying to visualize this. There we go. Something like there, give or take. Yeah. All right. Now we don't want the stairs to be so perfectly symmetrical, so we're just going to delete that new piece that we put in there. And we don't want this middle piece to be, you know, mirrored image either. So we're just going to delete as much of that as we can. And then we're going to blend in this corner piece a little bit better. So we can go ahead and just merge them into the same layer, which is painful for some people to do, because some people like to work on everything on different layers. But I like to live on the edge. So content aware, kind of blur or blend that line in. There we go. And then get rid of this mirrored image artifact. Same down here. Whoops, there we go. Let's try that again. Okay. All right, now, shrine-wise, I do like, first we gotta get rid of this rock too, but I like this grating, this like grate system that it's got here. This is a grate. And I think we can duplicate it down here. I think that would be cool. So if we just grab, first we'll content aware this to try to finish the grate back in. There we go. And then we'll just grab some of that grating, copy paste, throw it down here. And we don't want the lighting on it like that. So we're just going to darken it, lighten, probably darken. And then we will play around with where it goes exactly. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we need to clean this up on the bottom. So I'm just going to merge those two, darker color, there we go. And we're just gonna grab this bottom plane here and clean it up. There, that's better. All right, so now we can go ahead and if you go to transparency lock over here, that means if I add anything, if I paint anything, it won't go past the image itself, which is great. So now if I like do this, it stays within our established shape. So I am going to then select the rock because we can smell what the rock is cooking and we don't want it. And just do some content aware and the rock is gone, but it still remained in the shape like we wanted it to do. Okay, so let's go back to the grid. Let's fix that. We're going to, we want it to like go here, probably here, and then maybe like here. Again, bear with me while it looks terrible, while I am just roughing in ideas here. All right, I like, okay, so we're going to then roughly design, let's put it here too, this little gray bit. There we go. So we're gonna roughly design like support pillars. So if you have, let's say we have this little bottom piece here, the bottom left over here. So if we have that corner, it would be something like great, and then support pillar, and then grade, and then support pillar, and then, you know, of course, grade. Now, granted, we could just have it all grading and have the support pillars behind the grading, but I think this looks cooler. It adds a bit more variety to the design. And then, of course, we wouldn't have it just go straight up and down. We can add some coolness to it, like this. And just adds like some variety to the design, because we are focused on design today. There we go. So, you know, something like that, right? That looks great. So we can just do something like that. So to do that roughly, I'm going to grab the border all the way around, and I'm just going to essentially, I'm visualizing where the support beams are. So everything that I'm going to delete off the grid the grading is going to create support beams, visually at least. So if I just do like a couple like this, trying to space them out evenly, but I always fail to do so. So we got 4 on one side, and then we'll do 4 on the other. So something like here. It's easier if I start on the outside. Go in like this, 1, and then 2, 3, and then one last one here. There you go. So now if we delete, we essentially have established these rough ideas of support beams. The lighting is dark, so it's kind of hard to tell. And then of course the coloring is very muted and gray. Hey, hello Ashish, welcome to the stream. So now we have the support beams established. We have a bit of a border going around them, and the bottom piece is now looking a bit more like something cool. We do need to fix the stairs, and I think that's the next problem we need to fix. So let's do that. I'm going to do that again with the masking tool. So first we establish the perspective of the stairs, which would be like this, okay? So then we can establish where do the stairs start and end. I don't like the stairs going all the way up here like this. So we're going to cut them off about here and make them a bit shorter. And then we're going to, at the bottom here, it just kind of ends perfectly in line with the rest of the shrine. So we're going to add a bit more of a, like a step up here. So if we have something like, something like this, I think would be fine. Oops, something like here. Do we do that? I don't know. I'm debating on that one. We'll leave the bottom for now, I think. What do we do? Welcome to the stream. What do we do? Yeah, I guess we can add. Oh, okay, I got it. All right, so we can just cut off the support, like the side rails going upstairs. We can go ahead and just cut that off at the end there. So then we can have it come down a little bit lower than our base line here all the way across. This is just to make it feel more like a 3D image, like an actual 3D object. So we've got that shape designed. So now we can go ahead and Control-Shift-I to select the inverse. So now we're drawing over here, and we can go ahead and just roughly get rid of these. Don't like these. Let's get rid of that. Throw in some colors here, just something to kind of vary from the stairs, so that way we know that there are no stairs at that spot. Cool. Good. All right, so now we can go ahead and fix the stairs themselves. So to fix the stairs themselves, we're going to add a, we're going to add a shape down here, some value, just to sell the fact that there is, you know, a 3D object here. We're going to just create some shadows for the stairs, which means doing something like this. Now, if you think about stairs in general, they tend to go at like a ramp, like the shape of a ramp. But you also have to remember when you're creating these stairs that stairs are 90-degree angles in perspective. So you're creating this direction of a ramp, but you have to do each stair as a block, essentially. If I did something like, if I did, here, let me do this over here. So if I had stairs coming down like this, okay, and let's say they went like that, at that kind of angle. So if you do just that, it feels more like a ramp. It doesn't feel like stairs. Stairs are very much 90 degrees all the way up. which can be confusing in perspective because you want to create this visual going up, but they tend to not do that. So what you can do is, if you have perspective coming down like this, let's do like this. So if you have like stairs like this that are coming towards you and you're looking up or down, either way, you can create the stairs by following that ramp design. So perspective wise, if you start the stair here, let me do some of the separate layers. All right. If you start the stairs here and you follow all the way across to the other side of the ramp, and let's just continue all the way across, something like this, it's going to look like a ladder, right? But if you then take the corner piece here, let me zoom in for you. If you take the corner piece here and you go down like this, all the way to the one you just did, next, the line that you just made next, and just rinse and repeat at the corners, you'll see that you're creating this depth of a stair that's following the perspective of the ramp that you wanted to have to begin with. So now you can just get rid of the ramp part, and voila, you have stairs in perspective without worrying about does it look right or not. If you're doing it sideways, you do the same thing. So let's say you wanted, let's say you're doing stairs this way, right? So if you do the ramp like this, now with this, you do the same thing, but slightly different. So you take the line, and instead of going straight across like that, you have to go into perspective. So now you're looking at the horizon line, so your perspective is going to be like this. So if you make a line this way, and then this way, this is going to be rough. So forgive me. But if you make a line, I put that on that layer? Okay. Boop. So if you make a line this way, and you kind of just follow the perspective, this is just eyeballing it for speed. There we go. You can still go straight up and down. So if you have the perspective, regular stairs, not like some kind of special scenario here, you can then connect them straight up and down like this, and then connect them at the bottom by following the same perspective line and the same direction. There we go. And then rinse and repeat straight up and down on the corners of the ramp. Go across, meet, straight up and down at the corners, go across, meet, straight up and down, cross, meet, and then straight up and down. And then you just delete the ramp part, which is here. And there you go. Now you have like somewhat of a perspective staircase. So I hope that helps somebody. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, stairs can be complicated, more complicated than you would imagine. But that's the easiest way that I found to do them. So that is what I'm doing here with these front stairs. I'm essentially just creating the bottom and then doing a vertical on each side. So let's continue. If we make our ramp like this, and then we go up and down, then we'll create the values. It is very dark, so we are going to fix that. But at the moment, I'm just trying to get the shadows in so I know where the stairs physically meet and where they end. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Now keep in mind, just like the other streams, we are not going to have a fully finished thing here, fully finished design sheet or anything, because I'm just showing you the process within 2.5 hours, 3 hours or so. I'm glad you thought the stairs were interesting. I'm a big fan of just perspective facts and information. It's cool. So yeah, let's continue here. So we have the stairs somewhat roughed out. Perspective wise, we have to think about how the closer it is to the camera, the bigger the stair. So we're just going to make this bottom one a little bit thicker. There we go. In fact, I may just have this bottom one come off. Yeah. Let's do the let's do this bottom one physically all the way down to the bottom, and then have it actually come off here and here to create the idea that there's a physical stair there that's going up. We can probably make it a little bit thinner though, little thick. The stair is thick with 2 C's. There we go. Boom. All right. So now we can focus on lighting adjustments for everything, at least. Stairs really need them at the moment. So what I usually do with the stairs is I'll take the mask tool and I'll just go into perspective and just essentially draw the outline of the top of the stair. Now keep in mind, if this middle piece here, let's say that's the vanishing, like the horizon line, if that's the horizon line, then you should be able to see the top of every single stair because they are coming below. So we're just going to work with that idea. But it doesn't mean the top stairs are going to be a bit thinner as far as like what you can and can't see on them. So we're just going to do that. Do that. That's still a bit too much. And while I'm doing this exciting, riveting, action-packed gameplay of masking out the top of the stairs, have you guys seen this Pal World game? It's like a, I don't know, the advertising has always been around like Pokemon with guns. And man, we played it, me and my friends played it last night for probably like, when did we start? We started at like 7, and then we didn't stop until like 2 in the morning. so what is that, like 6 hours, give or take? It was like 1:30 when we got off. So I'm a big fan of it. I like it a lot. It's not perfect by any means. It's early access, which I have my own personal opinions on early access in general, but it's really fun. It's just fun and goofy. And I'm a big fan of like base building when it comes to games that let you like build a base. That's always fun for me. So I am the base builder guy on our friends, and it's just really cool. I like it. What you're going to see right now is I am just adding some color and lighting to the top of the stairs. They're by no means perfect in perspective, but it'll work for the establishing idea of like getting some depth here with the stairs. I'm just adding some color, some difference in values, and just some general polishing. There we go. So now we have some stairs, you know. The bottom one's really thick. I think what we'll do is we will, what will we do? We will fix that in post. We'll get to that later. Right now I'm going to add some lighting adjustments to the like guardrails, I guess is what you'd call it, on the side. The little ramp thing that's on the side here. I'm also going to continue this idea all the way across, so that way there's this idea of like guardrails going all the way across. Okay, and then let's add some color and lighting to that as well. Let's go with, ooh, that's way too bright. Let's go with yeah, something like this. Kind of just gently put it in there. But yeah, like Power World's fun. There's like, it honestly feels like what Pokemon should be, like the new Pokemon. Like we have the technology for Pokemon to not be the basic, very low quality. I mean, I don't know if you are a fan of Pokemon or not, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet look not great. Just like visually, they are not great, and then they run terribly on the Switch. But this Pal World is just like an off-brand idea of what Pokemon should be, and honestly, I like it a lot. It feels a bit more adult, which I understand Pokemon is, for kids, but the fact that a lot of Pokemon fans started when we were kids, now we're not kids. So it'd be nice to have some kind of recognition of a game that's not so handholdy, like it used to be in Pokemon, like there were actual JRPGs where you couldn't beat this boss, so you had to go like farm some XP and level up, or you didn't match the types correctly. So like if there was a fire boss and you rolled in with a grass type Pokemon, you were just going to get destroyed. But now with the new Pokemon games, it's very much like you don't really have to think. Like it kind of just, they have everything for you. I'm just not a fan of how easy that is, I guess. But Power World's cool because they added this crafting element to it, so it feels a bit like Ark, or I don't know, other like crafting survival games like Rust, 7 Days to Die, Minecraft, stuff like that. But it has this kind of simplicity to it where it has base building, but because you have they're called PALs, PAL. So because you have like these Pokemon ripoffs, they are like workers in your base, which is really cool. So if you have things that need to be watered, if you have water pals, they'll actually water them for you, which is cool. It kind of lets you like automate the base building stuff without actually having to do any kind of crazy, I don't know, programming related activities or anything like that. Because whenever we played Terraria, I'm pretty much in any game like that allows base building like that. I am pretty much the base builder. So with games like Terraria, Minecraft, etc., I would put in switches and lights and stuff like that. But in this one, you just have like the pals do the working for you. But you just have to make sure that you manage like which pal is there, which one isn't. I don't know. It's really cool. I like it. It is early access though, so it's not perfect by any means. But it is fun. Let me fix this. Let me do a cross so that way I can get the perspective correct. And then we'll just add a little detailing to the front of the staircase to kind of separate from the stairs that we have established here. Just going to add a new layer. Whoop. There we go. So we're just going to add a little bit of depth detail here and here. And then we're going to darken it a bit. Something like that. Like that. Okay. And then we can then delete the ones that are not part of the stair that we wanted to keep. There we go. There. All right. So we have the stairs somewhat kind of detailed, lined up. Now, the roof is a bit of a mess because we have a ton of like leaf designs, textures, trees, etc. on it. We need to fix that. So we could sit there and try to find like another shrine's roof. But honestly, I think, because we're zoomed in a bit right now, honestly, I think it's fine if we just kind of roughly paint it in. I think that'll be fine. I also don't like how straight this is here. So like right now we have this just straight line right here. There's like no variance to it at all. So I'm going to fix that just with content aware, just by adding a little bit of some coolness here. Just do something like that. Same over here. Like that. And then content aware, whoops, content aware. And now we have a bit of like a cool little design on the edge. Uh, hmm. Okay, so we could add a bit more of a flare on the ends here, so we'll have something like this. I don't really know what kind of flare, so I'm kind of just doing some silhouette designs. Because with the masking tool, instead of doing the whole value silhouettes and everything, you can just do that, and now you can visualize a shape. So then you can just kind of design from there, and then create like your own little thing. So that's what I'm doing essentially, is I'm designing without actually putting any value in first, just to see what I like, what I don't like. I think instead of adding something here like that, we could just add, well, yeah, okay, so let's have it go up. Let's go up like that, and then have a little swooshy here, like that. Yeah, content aware, and then we're gonna take our established stair lighting, go ahead and delete that, and then look at it that way. Because what I'm essentially doing right now is I'm taking, like, I'm just like looking at that half of the prop design, so that way I know that if it's flipped over to the other side, it'll be cool. I don't like it. So let's do this. Let's find some shrines. Let's just find some references right now. I'm kind of just making stuff up from my brain, but let's just see what real stuff we got going on here. Let's say Japanese shrine. What do we got? This is the image that we took originally, and you can see that it has like a fencing across the way, which is cool. I do like this gold middle bit here. That's cool. We have a little remnant of it, but I like to bring that gold back in. The gold would be cool, because then we'll have color scheme wise, we would have red, green, some blues, and then like some gold accents to it. So we're gonna grab this image again, and we're gonna bring it back into our Photoshop. Where did I put that? That was under the matte paint folder, references. There it is. All right. So let's bring this back over. I forgot how massive it was. There we go. Oop, there we go. And we're just gonna line it up as close as we can. Opacity. And we're just going to try to get that gold accent back. So if we do like this, line it back up, it should line up to where it looks not like a ghost image. So there-ish. It's still kind of ghosty. So like there. Okay. And then we just go ahead and do lighter color to get the gold back in. Maybe pen light. Probably lighter color. All right. Yep. So we got lighter color. Let's go ahead and select our layer underneath. Control Shift I. Oops. And there. And now we can delete everything but the temple shape itself. So then we can go ahead and get rid of this part here. And then get rid of this. There we go. And then we don't want this person in here, of course. So we're going to just content aware her out. Should be fine. There we go. And yeah, I think that's probably all we need to do editing wise. So now we just need to, it is still a little bit bigger. That'd be right. So then we just need to adjust the values because the roof is super bright. So if we just take the selection, grab the roof, and just reduce its levels. Can do something like that. Oop. Something like there or so. Just add a bit of blue to the image. Now I am looking at, again, I'm looking at this thumbnail up here at the top right. I'm not too focused on like just every small detail here. I'm looking up here. The stairs are a little off center. That is fine. We can fix that. That's not a big dealio. Right now I'm focused on just the actual ideas. We can go ahead and shrink this a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's put it right there. Right there. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so then let's get rid of everything else that's part of this image that we do not want. Anything off the screen we can just crop. I have it set to crop, we'll just delete anything else. So all that stuff on the outside there, it'll just go ahead and delete that. And cool, so this is looking better. Now that we have the gold, we got some lighting going on. Let's continue. Let's find some other stuff. What do we got? See, I like this a lot. These little, I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but these paper talismans, I think, that are hanging around. Those are really cool. And I think we should include those in a certain way, especially with that rope going across. Yeah, that seems cool. So let's grab that. Let's see what happens. Let's just go ahead and download that. Come back to Photoshop. Bring that bad boy in. And there we go. Okay, so this also has an interesting color with the warm stone here. I think we could use that for the stairs. But let's continue with lighter color. First, put it in, thank you. Let's do lighter color because we want the lanterns and everything. Something like here. Maybe a little bit smaller. Something like there. Yeah, again, I'm looking at the thumbnail up here, and it's looking cool. It's just very bright, so we need to get rid of some things. This is too modern, so we'll just content aware that out. And then this is not anything we want. All of this stuff over here, we're gonna get rid of all of that. So select all of that. Come around this way, go like that, this way, and then like that. We're just gonna keep this little pillar here, I like that. So then we're gonna get rid of all of this, all of that, like so. We wanna keep it on the stairs, I think. I do like the stairs color that it's bringing in. That's cool. Yeah, that feels better. Of course, the inside that's like bright blue. Hey, Christina. Welcome to the stream. So, of course, the inside bit that's like bright blue is very modern, fluorescent kind of coloring. We don't want any of that. So we're just going to kind of just get rid of that. But we're going to try to keep these talismans in there, or I'm not sure what they call it, charms? They're paper. I just don't know what they are exactly. I'm just gonna grab that out of there. There we go. So now we have somewhat of a shrine developed. We got some lighting. Let's get rid of this. Don't like these like charms. Oh, well, actually, you know what? Wonder what happens. Let's see what happens if I content aware over here. Let's just do like this. Is it gonna grab all those talismans? It grabs the stairs? Why would you grab down here? I'm trying to get up there. All right, so we're just gonna leave that. These talisman paper dubers is pretty cool. So I think what I'm going to do is copy that around a bit. We can probably add some variety to design if we do. So if we do like here, get rid of the support beams. We want those. And then do the same thing on the other side. So like here, like that, so like there. And then, yeah, so then we can kind of just fake this wood. I like this wood. Let's do a different layer. There we go. So if we take some of this wood in here, we're just gonna add our own little values to it. Kind of rough it in, darken it a bit on the sides here. Okay, and then do the same thing over here. So I'm gonna grab this dark wood color. I'm just gonna rough it in. It's darker on the left, so I gotta match it over here on the right. Here we go. A little bit darker on the edges. Okay, so now we can create our own little talismans. So to do so, I'm just gonna rough them in. Let's just kind of do something like this. Now they are vertical. They're all vertical. So if we just kind of make sure that we follow that theme, that we can kind of just add these in there. I don't exactly know what they are, but I like the feeling that they're giving of this kind of shrine to like lost loved ones kind of thing. So we're just going to do that. It also adds some cool character because of the fact that they're not perfectly placed around. They're all kind of varied in size and shape and location. So we're just going to play with that because I think it's cool. We're just going to bring them around town. Let's go over here like that. Speaking of Japan, there are a ton of great JRPGs that are coming out in like the next 3 weeks, give or take. We have probably less than that, probably like 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks. We have Grand Blue Fantasy Versus that came out a while ago, but Grand Blue Fantasy's Relink is coming out on the 29th, I think. Really excited for that. That game's gonna be great. I'm a big fan of like JRPGs in general. I was as a kid always playing like Kingdom Hearts, my favorite game, Final Fantasy, etc. So of course I'm stoked for Final Fantasy Rebirth. So then we have, what else do we have? We have Persona 3, the remaster of Persona 3 coming out. Persona 3 Reload, I think it's called. And then we have and then there was the announcement for Visions of Mana, which is like the first new game in the Mana series, which is really cool that they did that. It was the last thing I expected them to announce. But really liked Trials of Mana. Wasn't a huge fan of I'm a bit of a completionist when it comes to games. I'm so locking stuff, making stuff missable is a bit of like a letdown for me. But one of the main ones I didn't like was the cactus guys in Trials of Mana. It was like a collectible you can get. It was honestly I think called Mr. Cactus or something. I wasn't a big fan of the fact that because in that game you can select out of a roster of I think like 7 characters, you can select 3 of them, and play their stories throughout the whole game, and they do that so that way you can play as the other ones and have like slightly different stories. But the problem with that was Mr. Cactus, the collectible. You physically, like, I got all of them, and then I realized when I was getting towards the last one that you can't get every single cactus unless you picked a certain character, which was a character I didn't pick. So that meant that I physically couldn't get all the cactus or cacti because I just picked the wrong character, and I think that's baloney. Like if you're gonna make it where it's a solid 50-hour game or so to get everything, or to at least like level up your characters all the way and fight all the optional bosses and everything, why would you lock one cactus to an area that only like 2 out of those characters can get to? That's just malarkey. That's just malarkey right there. But overall, big fan of the series. So I have placed these like talisman things. I'm just going to add some writing onto them, and then I'm going to dirty up the area around them as well, just to kind of blend them in a bit. Let's get some of these in here. I'm kind of breaking up the monotony because some of them are right next to each other, and I wanted to feel less organized. This one on the left has way more than the one on the right, so I think we will just delete some of those. Something like this. Whoops. Like that, I think is better. Yeah, alright, let's get rid of some of these. So that one, that one, that one. Go. Yeah, it feels better. It feels less crowded. I wanted them to be there, but not to be like clustered in. So then we can fix the values a bit on the back wall by just adding some little scribbles. I call it noodling. I mentioned it before that whenever I get to this phase that I'm just kind of roughing in details, I tend to noodle, which is like doing this kind of thing. And the reason why is because let's say I spent the time on this little corner piece on the roof, and I made like the shadow, and then I made the highlights, and then I made the surrounding details, and then kind of made sure that it was perfectly lit and rendered, highlighted and everything. It ends up coming off the same as if I just noodled the detail in, but it's very like time consuming. There we go. So like that one little right there, that one little piece of the roof has been like detailed a little bit, but I could have done the same thing if I started from scratch here. If I go back to before, there we go. If I, instead of focused on so much, if I just kind of roughed in here, here, and then went like this, and then kind of noodled in the highlights, which is kind of like doing this kind of thing, and then noodling in some of the shadows here like that, and there you go. So now it's very rough and noodled in, but it does look, you can still see that it's separated and it's detailed. So it's a lot quicker, for me at least. It's kind of like a personal preference thing. So we shall continue that idea. So we have that, noodle in over here. I may not even get to the side view, or if we do, because we only have like 2 more hours, but if we do have time for the side view, we can do just like a rough idea of a side view. Not worry about it too much. Let's kind of get some of this grading back in here. Again, just roughing out some noodles. I do like this right here. This it looks like this railing right here. It's highlighted white right here. It's cool. I like it because it's behind the pole, so it adds a bit of depth, and it also has this kind of design like this, like that, and then like this. So I'm just going to continue that across with some rough lighting suggestions. There we go. So we kind of just go straight across, go straight across, straight across here, and then continue this idea of it going up and down like that, but space it out. So I'm also going to round it off. Something like this. It's a bit rounder. And then do it here. Like that. There we go. Cool. A little bit of lighting. There we go. So we have that. Yeah, of course, T-Scar. Thank you for dropping by. And feel free to watch it whenever you want. And I'll see you at the next one next Saturday. The next stream we're doing, by the way, is another key art piece for our main character's like apartment area, the slums kind of thing. But I was thinking, instead of it just being vertical slum apartments like this with like, you know, nearby apartments like that, I was thinking we would include this kind of Asian influence to it. So then it would feel a bit more like not San Francisco, but well, I guess Chinatown and San Francisco has this, but I was thinking more like San Fran, Tokyo, where they kind of mix in this Asian pagoda feeling in their like modern apartments and architecture and everything, something like that. So we're gonna kind of play with that idea and see what we come up with. So let's get back to the detailing. I have a little cheat here you can do. Once you've done one side like this, you can kind of just copy and paste it and flip it to the other, and then not have to detail everything perfectly. The problem though is that when you do this, you're going to create a bit of a mirror image, because you essentially did mirror the image. So you can do that to kind of rough it in, but you're going to need to really paint over it just to kind of blend it in, so that way it's not like a perfect mirror image. So we're just gonna do like that, and you honestly don't have to paint it in too hard, because your brain in general will just look at shapes and then fill in the space. So as long as it's slightly different in some way, then you don't have to worry about it being not mirrored exactly, because what will happen is your brain and anybody that looks at your stuff will kind of just fill in the space of it being like a different shape over here, instead of it just being perfectly mirrored. So we're just going to kind of wiggle it around and noodle and see what we can come up with that's a little bit different. Now that I'm doing this design though, I'm not a huge fan of it just ending flat on the edge here. So like here, see how it just kind of stops like this? It's just flat, straight up and down. So we're gonna add a bit of depth to it by extending our railing. So we're gonna have it go this way, like that. Probably a little more, just to make it more pronounced. There we go. And we're gonna use a darker color here because it's, you know, we're separating it from the background. In real life, it would be the same color, but because we want to make it clear and easy to read, we're just gonna take it out. So then we can probably play around with this piece here. Now we'll just have it extend a bit like that. That's fine. It's fine for now, at least. All right. And then do the same thing over here. So then we come across, we go like there, and then we're gonna pick a darker value and kind of just blend it in like that. There we go. All right. So now we have some railing coming off the sides. So the next thing that's really like a major problem that we need to fix would be I mean, of course, the stairs are not centered, and the weird stair texture on it is creating like a strange perspective. Yeah, let's just fix that. Let's fix the stairs. I keep talking about it, but not doing it. All right. So if we grab, first off, this bottom piece needs to go. If we grab this section here, these two stairs here, and kind of just copy paste them, make them a little bit bigger, rinse and repeat here, like that. There we go. So now we have these stairs we can kind of play with. This bottom one, probably do one more, I think. I think that'll fix our thick stair problem too. So if we just have like an extra stair coming off. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so now we just need to fix the problem of perspective. So if we just grab our railing here, like here, go down the ramp like that, and then do the same thing here, go down the ramp like that. Okay, and then we're going to merge the stairs. Yep. And then delete. We'll fix the corners like I mentioned earlier. Let's do that here. And here. Rinse and repeat. We're in, this is, like I said, this is very, prop design is very like detail heavy. So there's a lot more smaller adjustments that we're making just to kind of clean things up, which is why it takes longer. Sometimes if it's like a weapon design, like let's say a sword, spear, something like that, you can get away with like shorter sessions because there's less detailing really. It's just like a sword. It's not like an entire shrine with lighting and everything. You can just make a sword like that, and then I don't know, make it cool. So you have like this kind of feeling to it. And then sharpen it, of course. And then, yeah, there you go, there's a sword. General idea though, like you can get the silhouette design a lot faster than something like a shrine or environment prop. Well, it depends on the prop, I guess. If it's like a crate or something, those are easy. Just do like a wooden crate. But something like this is a little bit different. So we're going to darker color, adjust the levels, bring them down a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to select this staircase. Whoop. There we go. Here, we want the stairs to be slightly darker than this walkway. And it's because the walkway is lit by these lanterns, but the stairs are not. So we're just gonna Control Shift J to separate our selection to a different layer, and then darker color. That's fine, cool. Let's add that to our stairs layer. Darker color, there we go. Okay, cool. So we are then going to kind of clean this up down here, like that. There we go. And this bottom staircase is annoying, but we'll just leave it for now. We'll come back. All right, so we've got the roof. We've got some cool like talisman, paper talisman stuff going on. We can kind of include, like, what's the word I'm thinking of here? We can expand on the paper talisman idea. So if we just go to a new layer and we take this rope here, this rope that's going across, first we can attach it here just to kind of include it. There we go. And then have this rope kind of going like this, come up, come back down like that. Let's try to keep it the same width, and then do the same thing over here. But with the rope, you don't want to do like a complete mirror image. because that rope is very flexible, so it would not be symmetrical like by any means. So we're kind of just gonna wiggle it around and create our own little different version over here of the same idea. Come around like that. There we go. Now we can Control H to hide that, and then take this rope color, which is like this kind of darker brown with some white highlights, or a yellowish, like a warm highlight, and then we can rough it in over here, and then go ahead and play around with the values of it. Darken it a bit because it's further away from the lanterns, and then we're going to lighten it a bit in certain areas to kind of give it that color, like that. Cool. All right, so now we can add, because this is supposed to be like a rope, we can add some of those talismans. If you look at them, they're doing this kind of thing where they go like this, like that. So we're just gonna follow that shape idea and just include that here. Something like this, something like that, and then something here. You don't want it to be perfectly the same, so I'm kind of making them thinner and wider in certain areas to kind of imply that it's like spinning or folded or something of that sort. And then we'll put something over here. And I'm looking at it, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 folds per talisman. 1, 2, 3. So I want to kind of continue that vibe. Let's do like another one here. There we go. Well, so look at the thin one at the end. There we go. All right, so then let's come back over here. I'm gonna continue. This one here can be thinner. Like that. And then have this one be tiny, I think would be cool. Just like a tiny one. Okay. And then instead of having 3 on each side like that, I'm going to mix it up and have 4 on this side just for some variety, since the middle is already symmetrical. So just do like that. There. All right, so let's grab some of that paper color, throw it in there, like so. We're going to have to darken the ones on the edges here, just to help them stand out from the background. Go. And then we can noodle. We can do some noodling. There we go. Noodle like that. Noodle up like that. Do a little bit here. Throw some here. And I'm doing it in the direction of the light, the lanterns. So that way it feels like this noodle design is actually light coming towards the talismans. So I'm just gonna do that there. Over here. And then we're gonna take it's like darker value here and kind of just add a little bit of shadow in between. Because if you look here, they are separate pieces. It's not like one piece is like folded around. So we're just going to try to accentuate that they are separated. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we need the main focus that I do know that we need before we get to these annoying, that annoying last stare that every time I do something to it, it just looks different. We really need to fix the centerpiece. So this is a shrine. So we want a statue with like some bowls with incense burning them, feeling to it. So this box in the middle here is starting to sell that there is like a centerpiece, but we want it to be a fox because this is a fox spirit graveyard area. So I'm just going to move this box up there. And, well, yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just going to make it smaller. So we're just going to make it like there. I'm then also going to make it darker. There we go. Let's get rid of that. And get rid of that darkness around it. Thank you. And we're just going to start with this as like a base for where the statue is going to sit. I don't know of many actual fox shrines. So like if we just type in fox shrine, we'll see what comes up. Yeah, stuff like this, right? So you have these statues. They put these like, again, those white shapes with the red like handkerchief scarf. It looks cool. So I think we should keep that. But what I'm looking for at the moment is a shrine that's like facing us. So that way we have an image that we can start with. But being that Unsplash is not great sometimes, looks like we don't have many options. So that fox is jacked. He's got like human arms. Look at the, he's got like biceps. This man's been hitting the gym. All right, we're gonna have to do something else. So let's do. That one's cool, but it's just out of perspective. We're gonna have to fake it, I think. It's gonna be fairly easy to do, or simple to do at least. So if we use that as a reference, right? Let's just use this as an idea where we like this stone with like a red handkerchief thing, and then something in his mouth. We can do that. So what we'll do is we'll place a fox image that I found before, which is this one. Wow, that is gigantic. All right, let me zoom out here. There we go. Shrink that down a lot. Thank you. All right, so then we can take this image and just use it as a way to get a shape of a fox looking at us. Select subject. Should just pick the fox. Yep. And then delete everything else. So now we have this fox shape. We're going to want to place him here, probably a bit smaller. Probably like there. Something of that sort. Yeah. So something like there. We're going to then not leave him as a regular fox. We're going to transparency lock him, and we're going to turn him gray using our values that we have here. So we're just going to paint over him. So we just have this outline of a fox, the silhouette. We don't want wood included at all because he is stone. So we're going to include some highlights of gray and whatnot. There we go. We're just gonna noodle in some rough details here, what the fox shape would be. Okay, we know his face is here. Okay, so now we can take some highlights, something like here probably, and then kind of just give him some like rim lighting, you know. Let's do a little bit like here, maybe like his eye, this eye, just so that whoever's looking at this can understand that there's an eye there. Okay. Okay, and then we're just gonna do around his back because we have all this lighting over here. We're just gonna noodle it in. Do his ear. This is like midtones here that I'm adding because I'm then going to add a bit more of this like brighter tone, but I want it to be still part of his stone color, so we're gonna do something like this. And we're just gonna brighten that up a bit. It's better. And then kind of just roughen his face, something like that. His jaw. And then the foot. He's got a foot going this way. You want his shoulder blade. And then his tail back here. Okay. So now we have a rough inkling of a fox statue. But we do like the red handkerchief thing that he had. So I'm going to add that as well. So go around the neck and kind of just do like that. And then make it red. We're going to darken it a bit in some areas, just add some value difference. So there's nothing in real life is ever just one flat value. Even Vanta Black, that 99.9% black or whatever, still has that 0.01% of a color. Nothing is ever just pure one color. So we're going to put the little scarf on him, and then we're going to add a bit more of these like talisman shapes on him. Just little tiny ones. There. One here. And then add those in there. Really tiny, so I'm just implying where they are. I'm not trying to like actually super detail everything and where they are. Okay. We're gonna increase. His foot is actually, he only has like one foot in the front, but I'm gonna have a second one just to sell the fact that he's looking at us because it's a shrine. So we're just gonna put a little paw here, and then kind of just imply that there's a foot there. Okay. All right, I think that's good enough for now. Let's do a little bit on the top of the feet. Kind of going up. Okay. So now we have a fox statue in the middle. We could probably adjust this box here. Yes, this one. We can go ahead and adjust that. Right now it's a bit too perfect, I think. I don't like perfect in my designs. So we're going to darken it a little bit. And then we're just going to fix it up here. So let's add some of our own writing on there. So something like that, there. And then let's change the symbol in the middle to our own design, whatever that may be. So we're just going to kind of wing it. Grab the highlight, come on. If you don't, thank you. So then we'll just put like a little dot there, a little bit here. Try to keep the theme, but we're just kind of designing our own little shrine. Go. Highlights on the writing that we made. Okay. So now next step would be, what would the next step be? Next step, we'll fix these corner pieces here. These right here on each side. Right now they're kind of bland. So let's pull up some more shrines, see what we got, shall we? Let's see. Do do do. Do 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 do. Boo do 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 do. I really like. Speaking of Grand Blue Fantasy, I really like Yule. I think it's her name. Yule. Yeah, it was Yule. She's a cool design. Is it YUEL Grand Blue? Yeah, I was looking for wallpaper of her, but everything's not safe for work kind of thing. But she's like a fox. Speaking of foxes, she's like she's part of the kitsune design, but she's got like this cool giant tail that kind of flows around, and then she can use fox flame to fight with. So she's like this, which looks really cool. I don't know why that image is so low quality, but yeah, she's a cool design. Big fan of her. Anyways, back to the shrines. What do we got? What do we got here? This is cool. Oh, this is better. I like this. So here we have a bunch of cool stuff we can talk about. All right, so here we're looking at a similar idea to the shrine that we have right now, as far as like the layout of the shrine. But we have a different idea on it, where it's got like this wicker kind of like a broom bristles hanging down, which is cool. And then it's also got like this dragon embroidery into the actual temple itself with this like smooth design here. It's really cool. I think what we can do though is we can take this wood right here. Yeah, if we take this middle piece right here with the red like gating, and then this one little bit of wood right here, I think that'll be cool. So we're gonna take this just for two little small pieces of it, not for the whole piece. And I'll show you what I mean. So if we go to our files and we go here and we bring in this massive image, there we go. Okay, so let's put that on top, all the way on top. If we go to this wood piece right here, I like this wood, just this piece, and delete everything else. I think this piece of wood would be cool for this entire side of the shrine. So if we darken, whoops. All right, if we darken, probably lighten actually, because it's already dark. Yeah, lighter color. If we put this like here, and then throw it around some more, I think that'd be cool. Now this is not going to be, perfect. I'm just visualizing like would it be cool or not, and it seems like it would be. So we could probably keep it on normal actually, and we'll keep it on light or lighter color. So okay, yeah. All right, so if we take this one, move it a little bit closer, just to add a little support beam in the middle there. We can combine these, merge, lighter color, and then go ahead and get rid of any kind of duplications in them. There and there. And then also in the grass bit here. Cool. All right, so now what we can do is we can kind of just start content awareing with them and filling this area in as like a wooden panel all the way across. And then we do the same thing on the other side. So let's duplicate this, put it on that side, put it like here. Okay, something like that, I think. And then we need to adjust the stairs. That's why there's a big gap here. Everything's actually centered. The problem is the stairs are a little off. So we're gonna finally fix those stairs. Let's go ahead and just merge everything, duplicate, merge. Now we have a checkpoint. Go ahead and get rid of that. Get rid of all of that. Thank you. All right, so now we can just take the stairs, because now that I went ahead and made them on one layer, and I can just take like here and here and just move it over to like there. Now it looks weird because there's a gap here now. Whoops. There's actually an empty gap right there. So we're just going to fill that in with content aware, see what happens. Nope, sucked. Cool. All right, so we're just gonna paint that in. So let's just grab the environment nearby. Let's come around, do some of that, do some of that, some there. Fixing the stairs, the shadows of the stairs specifically. There we go. And then add back in the stone value that are on top of the stairs. Like that, and there, and there. Cool. Now we need to actually fill in this little broken piece that we made all the way across. Here we go. Cool, cool. Let's do that, that. That. There we go. It's been fixed. Let's go ahead and just put that there. Put that there. And I think, just for sanity's sake, we are going to shrinking. We're going to shrink this staircase on the end here just enough. And then let's see here. It's one of these stairs that's still picking through from the bottom. There we go. Cool. All right. So we now have somewhat of a fixed staircase. It's now more centered, and we now have some wood panels we can play with. So let's continue that. Here we go. Cool. Let's do some of this here, like that. Go ahead and delete that part. There we go. All right, so now we have like this wood paneling all the way across, which I think is cool, but it's a bit plain still. So we're going to fix that. First, we need to make sure that they match all the way across. We'll probably leave it on normal and just darken it a little bit. Whoops, it's because of my selection. All right, now we darken it a bit. Cool. All right, so now let's just go ahead and grab that, delete. There we go. Delete, just to make it perfectly level all the way across. And now we can play around with this wood panel. So let's do this. Let's grab that color of the wood panel, and actually we could extend it into our support beams, because I mentioned these support beams earlier, but we haven't touched them ever since I just kind of roughed them in. So I think now's the time to where we can really play around with these support beams. So let's just put them in there, like that, like that, like there, come across again, and then we delete the whole bottom bit so that way it stands out. Thank you. All right, then let's go ahead and deselect our stairs so we stop messing them up. There we go. And now we can grab our wood color and kind of just start painting it in, essentially, in different areas. We want to keep it somewhat darker because it's in the bottom bit here. So let's just keep grabbing some of this dark wood color. Add a little bit of like some splotchy highlights in there, but still pretty much dark. I'm keeping it dark so that way we don't take away from the main focal point, which is the shrine in the middle. There we go. So now we have some basic wood supports with the grating underneath. I do want to fix this down here a little bit, make it stand out some more. There we go. Cool. Cool. All right, so now we can add a bit of a design to it. So let's do like since we curved off the railing, we can probably curve off this as well. Something like that would be cool. It's not going to be perfectly symmetrical all the way across, but again, we don't have the time to be too picky. So we're just gonna come down. Doing it in reverse would be like that. Yeah. Okay, come down here. Whoops. Come down there. Come down there. I'm making like these teardrop shapes. They're not going to be the teardrop shape itself that I'm adding to the support beams. The support beams are just going to have that little round end of the teardrop shape to create like a interesting shape on them. If that makes any sense. Like, I would show you, but I got the selection here. I got to finish. But essentially, what's happening here is I'm making a teardrop shape, but when I paint it in, the only thing that's going to actually change, because I'm going to use the same color, is the corner pieces here, where I'm putting like the curvature. That's going to have more of a curved shape to it, and I think it'll look cool once we finish the pattern all the way around. So that's what I'm doing. Here we go. Nope. There we go. And one last one, maybe a little bit here just for perspective. Okay, cool. So now we take Control H to hide everything, and then we just kind of do this, and you'll see it creates like a different feeling all the way across. The bottom ones still need to match the values, you know, so we're just gonna continue to do that, so that way it doesn't stand out as lasso shapes that we just made. Just kind of blend in the values. There we go. Same here. Kind of do like that. Like that. Whoop. So like there. And I'm just grabbing the closest values that were already there, so that way it kind of just blends into its surrounding shapes without worrying about it too much. Go. Same there. Same there. Okay, yeah. So now this has created like a rounder shape to it everywhere. Now we can flatten it back out on the edges here, so that way it doesn't stand out so much. There we go. Same thing down here. We want to smooth it out. Whoop. Careful. Okay. And then over here, same dealio. Just kind of add some values here. And then down here, same thing. We don't want it to be super bright, but we do want it to be noticeably that there is like a border all the way across. All right, so then we're going to add a bit of depth here by removing some of the center here, kind of like that, and there, and then delete that, which means I have to go down here and delete it. There we go. Yeah, it's better. All right, cool. So we have all that established. The wood looks cool. We still got the grading underneath. What can we add in there? Well, first off, it is time to stretch. We started at 1 Eastern. It is now 2:46, so it's been about an hour and 40. Let's go ahead and take a mental break. Stand up, stretch, call your family, tell them you love them, pet your dogs, pet your cats, I don't know, pet your neighbor's cats. Whatever you got, smoke them if you got them. I am going to talk about some more of my vinyls real quick though, because I seem to be doing that every stream, so I might as well continue. Some recommendations for music for you guys to listen to. Let's see what we got. We've got, speaking of Japan, we could do Ado. ADO is the name of the artist. Let me see here. Pull it up. Had this imported from Japan. So this is her album Kyogen, and it is like a Japanese rock kind of artist, but it's really cool. Huge fan. Her music is great. Even if you don't know Japanese, the point of music in general is the music itself, not necessarily that you have to listen to lyrics that you can understand perfectly. So honestly, just go into it enjoying the sound and not focusing too much on the lyrics because it's in Japanese. What else we got? I showed you Benny Sings last time. So let's go with more of a soundtrack. I would recommend the Final Fantasy soundtrack. You're like, well, which one? There's 16 of them. Indeed, there is. But my favorite is Final Fantasy 13, which is not a popular opinion, but that one's my favorite due to the art style and the soundtrack and everything's just really cool. This is the Final Fantasy 13 soundtrack on vinyl. Huge fan of this one. The music in 13, just the whole 13 series in general, is very much what's the word I'm thinking of here? Like, it's got like an electronic vibe to it, but it's very, of course, like the combat songs, the combat music is very up tempo and action feeling, but most of the music that isn't combat related is very like ethereal almost, very very just like spacey and chill. It's really nice. But Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, oh man, if you want to talk about some hot jams, here, let me show you. I can't play it, of course, but if you go to YouTube and you look up this song, New Bodom, it's the first song that plays, there you go, in Final Fantasy 13-2, and it's not the aggressive mix. You want to do like just the regular New Bodom. That song, honestly, I think is the best of that entire game of the sequel, 13-2. Phenomenal song. It's like this beachy kind of weird, I don't know, it's just weird vibe to it. It's really nice. It's got like a strange guitar solo in it. And it's just super good. I'm a huge fan of that song. That's a good one for sure. What else we got? We can do, I think we can talk about one more here since we're not going to have enough time to do a side view anyways. We could do. Talked about that. We could do. Oh, Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. So I have the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack on vinyl. Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear 2. Metal Gear 2, which is confusing because it's not the sequel to Metal Gear Solid 1. It's actually the prequel. But this is the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack. It's got like this, all the different bosses, like the themes of the bosses and everything. Huge fan of Metal Gear series. I actually have 100% every single one of them. The soundtrack is great. It's got like this 80s action hero. The older ones are a bit, closer to 8-bit feeling, but overall, just a fun time with like this 80s goofy cinematic action hero vibe to it. It's really nice. I actually I've I've 100% all the Metal Gear Solid games. Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, 5, Ground Zeroes, and Peace Walker, and Metal Gear Rising. But they just released a master collection that's like a remaster again of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. So I have done them again. I just 100% Metal Gear Solid 1, and then like a week ago I just 100% Metal Gear Solid 3 again. Now I gotta do Metal Gear Solid 2 again, but Metal Gear Solid 2 has these VR missions, which are like optional, short bonus missions. And man, there's 500 of them, and I'm not exaggerating. That there's actually like 500 of them, and they all take about, I don't know, give or take like a minute or so to do, depending on if you do it right or if you fail, you gotta try it again. But in general, somewhere around a minute, 2 minutes tops on each mission. But there's 500 of them, so you're looking at bare minimum 500 to somewhere around 800 minutes worth of of gameplay just on those bonus missions alone. And that's after you've already beat the game like 6 times to get everything in it and to do all the different collectibles and all that. So it's a fun time for me, but the bonus missions are definitely something where I just plug in my Walkman, or like, I take my Sony Walkman, put my headphones on, and just listen to music while I just go through those 500 missions. All right, so now that we've taken a little detour, I come back and I see that I need to add a line here. Let's do a bit of like a separation. Why isn't it possible? There we go. All right, so now we just do a little line across here just to add a little bit of depth all the way around. Okay, some of that. Just add a little bit of a border around the edges here. Do there. Come across this way. Do the same thing. And then something like there. Come across. All the way across. Okay. Cool. We do need to fix, I think, just this bottom piece here, this little section. Not a fan of it being the way it is, so I'm just gonna make it a bit more flowy. Something like that would be cool, I think. Let's see. Yeah, flowy is better. So we're just gonna do the same thing on this side, like that, and then delete it. Thank you. Okay. So now we need to do 2 things, I think, because we only have an hour left. Our clients are freaking out about the deadline. So there's 2 things I think we really need to establish. One, we need to separate the fox from the background, so that way it's easier to tell that there's a fox shrine there. We need to add some burning incense, which really doesn't take that long. And then we need to slightly fix the roof adjustments, just with cleaning it up a little bit. And then we need to fix the stairs and how like dark the blackness is. So with all that in mind, the first thing I want to do is the stairs. We're just gonna take that darkness and just kind of add some value to it, so that way it doesn't stand out so much. So if we just select it, there we go. Cool, that's good enough. And then deselect everything else. There we go. There we go. Just deselecting the top of the stairs because we just want the dark parts first that we need to fix. Okay. Cool. Good. All right. So let's take some of that stone color. Not that one. That one's fine. And we're just going to add some value here to the stairs so that way they're not so dark. We want them to be darker than, you know, the top of them, but we don't want it to be just pitch black. So we're just going to add a bit of color, bit of happiness, and just kind of add some value difference here. And you'll see that I'm kind of just grabbing nearby colors because I want it to match the stone staircase, but I don't want it to be too bright. So we're just kind of throwing it around. Do like that. Okay. Now, one thing that's making the stairs feel weird is that there's a huge disconnect between the top of them being so bright and then the bottom being dark. Realistically, they are, but we want them to feel a bit more like it's the same object that's being lit. So there is a little bit of bounce light. Now, normally if something has bounce light like that, you would essentially have it be like this. Oops. There we go. So you'd essentially have it be like this, and then let's say the light's coming from this way. If you had the top of it this bright, and then the bottom of it this bright, then you would have a smidge of bounce light coming up from the bottom like this, to create a bit more of a lighting situation on the actual stair itself. The thing is that we don't have such a harsh light, so it's not creating a drastic bounce light like that. So we can kind of fake somewhat of a bounce light. So we can just noodle our way out of it and add a bit of noodling on the stairs like this. Follow. And I'm starting from the bottom and noodling up so that way it creates a brighter value at the bottom to simulate like a bounce light. But like I said, we don't actually have a sunlight here. This is more of the lanterns lighting everything. So we don't need to focus too much on it being perfect. And then down here as well. There we go. Cool. Now, there is a disconnect in the lighting between here and the first section. So we're just going to fix that a little bit. Go. Whoops. Turn my head a bit because it's easier for me to go sideways if my head is sideways. There we go. And then we're going to add in that line of the stone back into perspective. Oops. Okay. Cool. Now we do have a little bit of a value adjustment here that needs to be made. It's got like a little splotchiness on the left side from where I fixed that patch earlier. So I'm just going to break that up a little bit. Go. Cool. All right. So let's noodle in there and there. Do a little bit here and a little bit here. Okay, so now we need, that's the stairs. I think the stairs are pretty much fine where they are. Again, we're just creating a sketch because we don't have time to fully flesh out a piece. So the stairs can just stay. Now, the fox statue needs one to stand out from the background so we can tell where it is easier. And then two, it needs some burning incense around the area to help sell the idea that there's people visiting the shrine and burning, you know, different kinds of incense and praying, and show that this isn't like an actual shrine. So let's grab this box that it's sitting on. There we go. Cool. And then Control-Shift-I to select the inverse, Control-H to hide the selection so that way we can see what we're doing a bit easier. And we're just going to grab some of this like warm tone. And I did this technique in the last piece, but essentially you go to screen. It's easier with screen. You can see it here where I put some brightness behind the pole. So just go to screen, and generally I do like 30%. Grab a bright tone color, and then you can just paint behind, and then it'll stand out. But we need to make sure that it's not that obvious. So we're just gonna kind of go behind it like this. Kind of lighten up the whole area a bit. And now if you look in the thumbnail up here, you can see that it stands out really easily. So that's great. That's what we want. We're just gonna kind of blend it in a bit so that way it's not crazy. Okay, so that's good to go. What do we do now? All right, so now we do the incense. Incense would be fun because what we're going to do is we're going to create a little bit. Oh, this needs to be fixed for sure. This is what was bothering me. It was this right here is the same value as the staircase, so there was no clear cutoff. All right, so let's do this. Do the same thing over here, just to add a like an actual railing here. Make it go in perspective. Just darken it. Oops. Normal. Different brush. There we go. And then kind of just darken it above everything. Okay. So now we will take. All right, incense burners. So incense is normally in like a bowl, but I think by himself like that, he needs some accompanying vertical structures. So let's do a couple of like, careful. Let's do a couple of kind of like stones like this around him as well. So something like there, and then break the symmetry on this side. Okay, and then we'll have like a, so we'll have him in the front. So he's like here, and then we'll have the candles or the incense burners behind him like this. So to do so, we can create like a little step up to where they are sitting at. So actually, instead of doing that, well, yeah, we could do that first. So we'll add these like stones here and over here. I think there's probably too much on this side. Let's fix that. So let's do like here, here, And then like here, probably taller. I think that's fine if we just do it like that. Just move it over a bit. There we go. All right, so let's add a little bit of a darker value for this, just for now, so we can see it. And then we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of a step up here. So all the way across like that. And then we're going to delete from the box, of course. There we go. Then we shall add darker value and then some of these surrounding colors. So like this red and some of these like kind of bluish tones here. A bit of a shadow, and then we'll add a bit of a lighting to it. So we'll have it kind of separate like that. Cool. So now we got like a implied version of like a display stand where they would sit on, you know? So now we can reselect our dudes here, add a bit more of this stone color to them, like that, and then darken a little bit on the edges just to make them stand out some more. That. Cool. And now we're going to add some writing to them. Well, actually, before we do the writing, we should do lighting. So we're going to add a little bit of like this this orangish color coming from the lanterns, and we're just going to kind of throw those in there noodle wise. Go. Okay, just to imply that they're lit, like they're being lit up. All right, so then we're gonna add some writing to the middle of them. Something like that, like there. Cool. And we're going vertically because it's, you know, like Japanese style, so we're just gonna imply that there's some kind of Japanese writing there. Cool. All right, so now we can do some incense burners, and that can go, we can have, you know, let's add some incense burners that are hanging instead of on the ground. So no, because we have what do? We already have the talismans hanging down, the paper talismans. So let's do incense burners on the ground so that way we don't have so much stuff hanging. And we will do that by adding yet another layer. And we're just going to go down here and we're going to add these little bowls. Whoops. Stuff like that. Probably a big bowl here in the middle. And like a smaller bowl here on the side. And then maybe like a couple over here. Little tiny ones, a couple over here. Oops. Kind of imply that there's more. There we go. And then darker tone first, so we can see them. Cool. And then we will add a bit of lighting to them, just like on the bowl itself, just around the rim for the lantern lighting. And then add some of this stone gray to the bowls as well. Go. And then re-darken them a bit, just to make them easier to see. Cool. All right, so now we do the incense burners, which is, I'm gonna zoom in for this, just because we're kind of zoomed out. We're going to take some spiky bits, kind of just like some incense sticks poking out here. And we're just gonna add them in as burners, like if people were lighting them while they were praying to the kitsune or to their loved ones, whatever they were praying to. There we go. One in this little tiny bowl here too. And then one over here. All right. So now we Control H, hide everything, make them darker so that you can see them. And then we're going to add some like really bright orange tones. Whoop, whoop. There we go. To the tip of them to make sure they're burning. Go. And normally just like the very tip, like the very, very small tip of the incense would be bright enough to see. But in this case, we're kind of just winging it and making it stand out. So we're going to make them brighter a little bit further down. And then we can add some smokiness to it, which is fairly simple. You just kind of mask in some wispy smoke. There we go. I want to make it a bit obvious on the smoke and the smaller ones because I want to have the smoke visible. And with so much going on in the middle here, with such a small detail, that this visual of the wispy smoke being obvious will help sell the fact that there is something burning here. So that's what we're working on. There we go. So now we'll add some of that smoky, darkness to it. Go. And then we'll add a little bit of brighter values to the smoke, just so it's not solid black. Cool. All right. So I'm sure YouTube's algorithm, or not algorithm, compression is making that hard to see, but in the 4K image, it's there. And then of course, whenever we actually came to fully polish this piece, we would make it more obvious and make it stand out, which I plan to do on this piece. So whenever we get to stream 5, I'm going to come back to these incense burners here on the edges that are glowing, and I'm going to add some more detailing and value to them and make them stand out a bit easier, and fix the lighting and whatnot. Now, what is going to be great is because we have somewhat of a refined shrine idea here, what we can do whenever we come back to refine this in stream 5, we can take the shrine prop right here and just place it right here. So then we'll have already cleaned up the shrine area a little bit more without actually having to do it directly in the key art itself. Simply because we're doing a front view like this, we can just do that. So that's cool. All right, so before we call it here, I need to do a little bit of cleanup on this little edge here, which is fairly easy to do. There we go. And then we're going to fix the roof. And unlike contractors, it won't take us 6 weeks. We can just do it within an hour. So to fix the roof, well, actually, within like 30 minutes. What we need to do, I guess while I talk about it, I can fix this wood to kind of speed things up. I need to put a border around here and then kind of add a bit more of the detailing to the panels. There we go. Cool. All right, so to fix the roof while I'm doing this here, we are going to go ahead and keep the colors because we like the colors. We want those to stay. And we're going to essentially no, flat's fine. We're going to essentially paint in and clean up the shingles, so that way we don't have like this crazy red just splotchiness here. And then we're also going to clean up just like the outside and the edges and everything. So let's do that. First though, I don't like this one bright spot right here. We're gonna fix that by making a really bright wood spot right there, and kind of go like this, so that way it feels more like there's a like an actual pedestal there. There we go. And then we'll add a little bit of that bright light in the middle-ish. There we go. Cool. So now we can work on the let me just hit this nose a bit. I'm gonna get to the roof, I swear. I just wanted to highlight this rim light a bit more to make him stand out some more. Okay, cool. So now we're going to hit the roof. So the roof, to fix that, this is looking more like a cat actually. I think it's because of the ears. So we're going to adjust the lighting on the ears a smidge and then adjust the face. I think the face needs to be a bit longer. It's a bit more like that idea. It's a bit closer to feeling like a fox, I think. Come on, there we go. Yeah, that's better. All right, so the roof. So to do this, we could go in like I showed earlier, where we just go to each shingle and paint over it and be here for about 16 years trying to fix that. Or we can fake it. So I'd rather fake it. Let's fix some of the lighting here on the edge. Same over here because we duplicated it. Go. And we're just going to roughly fix it by grabbing some of this blue, and we're kind of just do like this kind of thing. It's like a brush stroke feel to it, but we're just going to keep grabbing different values as we do, so that way it feels more like an actual roof with different colors and values added to it. And then also more color and value just adds more interesting elements to look at. So we're just going to do like that, some of that, some there. Fix this little dark bit here. Okay, so then we can come back with the lighter value and fix the edging here and here. And then come across here, some of that, like that. Cool, there we go. So then we'll add some darker values on the edges here to kind of help the shingles. They're not shingles, I don't know what you would call these, like these braces that come across, have them kind of stand out a bit. We're gonna follow the perspective that they're in, so that way they don't feel too rough. Go. And then kind of swirl in a bit here with this one. And see, now at this point in time would be where I would just like I would be listening to music anyways, but I just can't because of the stream. So normally I'd be listening to music, and at this point where you're not really thinking about design, you're just kind of fixing these little small details. This would be where music comes in handy a lot, because you can kind of zone out. This part requires like little to no brain power, so you're kind of just fixing all of the splotchiness and the brokenness of the image, because before, after, we're just kind of cleaning it up. So it's not too terrible, as far as like monotony goes, if you're listening to music. But if you're just chatting on a stream, it's a bit harder for me to completely zone out, because I have to chat with you guys, you cool people. So if you hear me constantly doing like do stuff like that, it's just because I'm used to completely zoning out and listening to music at this point. All right, so let's continue this. Get rid of that dark bit. Let's go here. Let's go like there. There we go. Some of there. What's up, shorty man? Let's continue here. So, what games are you guys? Games, movies, books, whatever you're into. What have you guys been playing, reading, watching recently? Like I said, I did the Metal Gear Solid collection. I still gotta do Metal Gear Solid 2, but I also just bought Bulletstorm VR for the PlayStation VR. I never played the original, so it's kind of fun just to have like a goofy action kind of like, it feels like Doom a little bit, where it's just like a lot of like just brutal shooting and action and everything, but there's not like a lot of care into the polishness of it. It's very much just like enjoy just a fun game, not worry about being game of the year or anything. And then especially in VR, it's fun. All right, let's continue this way. And of course, I'm waiting on Grand Blue. That's gonna be cool. There's also that. I think it used to be called Project Eve, but now it's turned into Stellar Blade. That's what it's called. So now Stellar Blade is also coming out this year. Finally, that's gonna be dope. That looks really cool. I'm a big fan of art styles, obviously, but there is a there's like when I'm not buying a game because the art style is cool. I'm buying a game because the game looks fun, but then the art style is like the first thing that will make me click on it at least. And I tell you what, that project, what's it called? Project Mugen game. It does look like a gacha game, which I'm not a huge fan of course, but it's like it's like an open world kind of Genshin Impact-y kind of game. Looks cool. Art style looks phenomenal. The game looks cool, of course, but like just man, the art style on it is so nice. Big fan of just the way that looks in general. So I'm excited for it. Will the game be like the trailers, where they show some gameplay and everything? Maybe. I mean, by the time game development gets from trailer to production, or from trailer to release, it tends to, they have to cut some things down. Not necessarily because of budget. Some things are because of budget, but also you have the problem of like the restrictions in the equipment. So like if they're working on a PlayStation, or if they're working on a PC, they could go completely unoptimized with it. So then you have games like Crysis, where it was like, can your computer run Crysis? That whole thing is because they didn't really optimize the game. So if it could run it, it was because your PC just was a powerhouse. But generally speaking, companies try to optimize their games for consoles or PC or whatever specific thing that it's releasing on. So that way they don't have to worry about somebody having a massive nuclear powered beast of a computer to run it. And by the time the game comes out, that means that sometimes they have to remove things, because if you left every single cool thing you wanted in a game, sometimes it'll be reduced performance. You'll have like lower frame rates in certain areas, or maybe the controls aren't as responsive because it's trying to render everything at the same time. So they will have to reduce things. There's a cool little fun fact of Ratchet and Clank, the new one, Into the Rift, I think it was called. Into the Nexus? A Rift Apart. There you go. So A Rift Apart had actually, first off, the fur detail on Ratchet is great. But they actually had to reduce it from what it was before, which is crazy to me because it already looks phenomenal. So that means that wherever it was before was even higher. And the reason why they had to reduce it is because they had a limited amount of like power towards like RAM or towards rendering to keep the engine from crashing or from slowing down. So what ended up happening was each department actually had their own allotted amount of like performance that they were allowed to use. Well, the lighting team kept reaching their max performance even though it wasn't actually using that much. And they couldn't figure out why. They were trying to figure out like what is causing the lighting team to have so much of like a expensive taxing part of the rendering. And after they started looking at it, they realized it had nothing to do with the lighting team at all. it was the fur on Ratchet and the new girl Rivet. So they actually had to reduce the fur because of the lighting, not because of like the actual fur itself. So that created like a difference in fur texture, made it less, right? But that doesn't mean that they did it because they were lazy or they lied or anything like that. It was more of just they physically couldn't keep it in there because because the lighting itself was starting to crash the engine from just the fur detail alone, which is crazy. I'm adding a bit to the roof here, not because I have to, but because the middle point here is like touching the top of the roof, and it's creating a bit of a tangent line. So I am getting rid of that by just creating my own little middle piece here. So that way the point is no longer perfectly level with the top of the roof, because it was touching here, like it was physically meeting the top of the roof, like there we go. So instead of meeting perfectly with the roof and creating like this weird tangent point, I think it would be better to have a bit of an upper bit in the middle to kind of counteract that. So that is what I created here. I'm then going to fix the lighting on it to blend it in a bit more, which means taking out some of this splotchy yellow. There we go. And then creating a bit of a border here. We're just going to take some of this and kind of noodle in some details. Something like that. Looks cool. There we go. And then over here, we're going to continue. Cool, 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 all the way around. Okay, so lighting wise, we're just going to add a little bit of an implication, because this is above. If this is like the horizon, probably like here, this is way above it, so we wouldn't see the top of the roof very much. But I am going to fake it at least and kind of imply that there's a bit of lighting on it, just to help it stand out a little bit more. Okay, so during that talk, you can see that I created, refined the roof a little bit more, added a little bit more detail, or fixed some of the detail at least. It does still have that like splotchy red to it. That is somewhat of a simple fix if we just select the red like that. Probably select more of it. There we go. And then deselect over here because we want the rest of the red. And then just content aware. And yeah, it took a little bit out. So if we, you can see there, it kind of reduced it a bit. So really that's just like cleaning up small fragment details. which really just kind of takes some time. That's not something that is like complicated to do. You really just have to go in and just paint it all out, you know, a little bit at a time. Now, there is one little roof fix I want to do because it would be cool. We're going to take, first off, we're going to take this section here, duplicate it, whoops, yeah, duplicate it over here like that, because I think it looks cool. Darker color, nope, we're just going to leave it. All right, so let's put it like there, down a little bit more, down a little bit more, up, perfect. All right, so that's cool there. But what I want to do is I want to take this archway here and I want it to continue like that. Okay, so I need to continue this direction all the way down to here. So a bit like that. And then do the same thing on this side. A bit like there. Cool. Okay, so then we will, then I wanted to include this piece here, this like, it's like wooden part that's like sticking out. I like that. So we're going to include that on both sides. So let's do like here, probably like there, I think. We'll copy it later. All right, so let's continue this roof idea by adding dark value first and then adding the details on top of it. So something like that. I'm gonna flatten this out. There we go. Keep the arch going this way. Kind of blend this in. And then I like this like spaced out kind of, what do you call it? Like these beams that are kind of going down like this, creating an arch. I like those being spaced out like that. So I'm going to try to continue that all the way across to here. Oops. And then have it continue like that as well. And it's actually, I believe that they are related to the support beams on the roof. So we're just gonna have it match the roof as far as like how many there are and how spaced out it is. Go. So like here, 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 there. Okay. So then deselect, because we don't need to be selected anymore. We can kind of go ahead and match this up a little bit. There we go. Cool, cool. It's coming. It's you know, it's getting there. And let's kind of fix this little corner piece like that. Okay. All right. So now this stick that's sticking out here, I like that idea. So we're just gonna continue it once I'll just copy and paste it to the other side, be easier. So let's just noodle in some details here, here, a little bit there, and there. Continue all the way down. Okay. So now if we take this stick idea and we make it a bit more golden themed to kind of match here. All right, we can copy it and just flip it, put it over here, probably just, I'm eyeballing like where it would be exactly. And I think it's like there. Yeah, I'm using the pillars as a base to see like this far and this far. So yeah, so like there, that's fine. And now we can kind of add a little bit of lighting to it on the edge here. Just like a lighter tone, not like super bright. A little bit brighter. Put it like here. Like that. And then do the same thing on this side. So that way it has a bit of a lighting from the lanterns getting on there. Same thing down here. We're gonna fix this a little bit here because it's distracting. There we go. Okay. Now this dark shadow bit right here needs something. I don't exactly know what. So I'm just going to add a little bit of just like an implication that there's some wood under there because it's a bit dark at the moment. So we're just gonna kind of hit the edges a little bit, like it's picking up some bounce light. There we go. Something like that, and then even some cross beams here. Cool. All right. Well, it is 3:40. Is there any like last minute, really quick changes that we can make that would matter? I guess the one change is that this needs to be centered, which is quick fix. So we just move that over. So we just move that over. First we'll merge, duplicate everything, then merge to make like a checkpoint. And then we'll move that over to about there. There we go. Then we should select the gap. Oops. Select the gap. Content aware. Didn't quite work. So we'll just paint it in ourselves. Okay. Neat. There we go. All right. So I don't really think there's much else here that we can do like now that would really change a lot within the next 5 minutes. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a border around here just to kind of sell that there's a board here. It's not just floating pieces. If I can get the right value. There we go. So like there. Like that. Okay. Let's add a little bit of lighting on the grating because right now it's kind of just kind of there. So let's just do a little bit, which is easy. Just kind of gently throw in some lighting here, a little bit on this side. I'm hitting the left side of the grate on this side because it's the opposite of the lighting in the middle. And then I'm going to hit the top side of the grate as well to kind of imply that the lantern above is lighting it. Do the same thing on this side. I can get it. There we go. Cool. And now we could probably do something similar down here. Nah, we'll leave that the way it is. This right here though needs to go. It's like white. Needs to get out of there. Thank you. And yeah. All right. So if we play around with like a railing here, does that look cool? Yeah, I think that looks cool. So we're going to we're just gonna roughly paint in a rail here with a little bit of design to it. So probably start here and come around like that. We will get rid of this blue right here. But I think instead of a railing, we will replace this in real quick. And we'll use this red guard that's here in the middle. So if we take just the part we need, which is this part right here, there we go. Select the inverse, Control Shift I, delete, and then we're going to use this to add some variety to the edges here. So lighter color, maybe darker color? No. I think lighter color is fine. Or honestly, just normal is fine. We just have to adjust the values of it. Auto tone, nope. Auto color. Alright, so we're just gonna increase the saturation a bit. Drop the lightness down, smidgen, there we go. Okay, so we could put that there, and then I like that. That's cool. All right, yeah, so if we put this here and darken it, the red will start poking through, creating a cool guard design here. If we do lighter color, no. Yeah, all right. Is it too distracting though? It's cool, but is it distracting? Yeah, it is. Okay, now we'll leave it. All right. So then we're just gonna, what do we can do here? We need to do something here, like in the corner. Let's do this. Let's do something like that. Content aware. Good enough, I think. Probably we'll fix it, but I think that's fine. So go there, like that. Yeah, just to add a little bit of design instead of it just being a flat cutoff in the corner there. And then we can also fix it in perspective, like that, by adding a little bit of a value here. And then do the same thing on this side. So a little bit like that. Like that is cool. I gotta fix that little line there. There we go. Let me flatten it at the top. Cool. And now we'll take this and cut off the edges here. Oop. There we go. So cut that off all the way around. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, I think that's good, right? So now we can just probably auto color, see what Photoshop thinks. Yeah, Photoshop added a bit more of a red. Auto contrast is fine as well. Auto tone, no. All right, so now one last thing, we're gonna adjust the values a bit. We're going to kind of darken around the edge a little bit. Smidgen on the roof. And then really up the values in the middle here. Not like a ton where it hurts to look at, but enough to like make it stand out. Yeah, there we go. So now we have a shrine. Let's go ahead and hide everything else except for where we started. Okay, so now you can see before and after how it's come, you know, how it's got here so far. And really, you know, this would just require, it's because, there we go. really this would just require like a ton of going in and polishing everything, kind of just removing the janky colors in certain areas. But you know, being sure to like strategically keep the colors in other areas, and maybe content aware there to fix that a little bit. So let's do that again. Cool. There we go. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for prop design. Normally we would also have like other angles for it, like I showed at the beginning of the stream. So we would have like a side view here, but we don't at the moment, and we don't have time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to sell the scale of something. So if you have something like this, you can place like a character next to it or something to sell just how big it is actually. But what I'm going to do, first I'm going to move this down to the ground plane so that way it's not floating. And then I'm going to hide everything in the background. Cool. So this one. Didn't I? Could have swear I merged all of these already. Okay, let's just do this. Let's merge them again, because for some reason it didn't work. So duplicate, merge. It would help if they were visible. There. All right. Merge. Cool. And now we delete this and that. Thank you. And now we move this down to the ground plane. And then we can add a person for scale. Normally you can just add like an actual, you know, character standing here. But what I normally do is I will just do like a circle with a triangle like this. Reason why is because one, it's faster, so you don't have to worry about getting like an actual detailed character next to it. But then two, the reason why it works is because you don't, everybody knows the general size of humans. So if you have a character like this, and you kind of just put them on the ground plane, then you automatically get the gist of like how big the shrine actually is. So you would climb up the stairs and go. I think the character is a little too small at the moment, so I'm going to increase her size, kind of get the scaling right. That's probably fine. And then you can do like a marker if you want to. So like, I don't know, if you do height, let's say 5 feet, 6 feet, let's say 6 feet. So 6 foot, and then the height of this roof would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So probably like 24 feet. So 25 feet, let's say. It's round. If I can, why can't I draw a 5? There we go. It's 25 feet. So then that way, whenever you get to the modeling phase or the asset phase where they're actually like creating the assets, then they'll know a general gist of like how tall something is or how big it is. You can also do how wide it is. So like from here to here, you would put a note saying like, I don't know, 20 feet maybe, probably. So 20, so then you would say like this is 20 feet wide. And then you could also do like, but from here or from here to here is only, you know, like 7 feet, give or take. So then you can just make measurements and figure out the size and actually make it to scale, and people will understand your design better and easier, and it'll help you like in the long run. So that is pretty much it when it comes to prop design. You know, I hope you learned something from this. I plan on getting the side view in there as well, but because we were focused on all these small details, it took a bit longer. So I will just have to leave it there, and we'll have to move on to the next stream. So the next stream is next Saturday, again at 1 p.m. EST, and it's going to be from 1 to 4, of course. The next stream will be the next key art. So Yukiko, our main character that we've created, she lives in the slums, in the apartments of like this kind of Asian-inspired, near futuristic city, and we're gonna have her, ideally in the scene. In my head right now, she will be kind of on her balcony, so we can get a view of the city and the slums that she lives in. But she's going to be watering her garden that's on the balcony, and it's going to have like this connection to the graveyard narrative wise. I was also thinking name for the project. So if we have Yukiko as the main character, and then let's say her brother that she's been visiting at the graveyard is Aki. Yuki is snow, so Yukiko is kind of like snow child kind of name, but then Aki is fall. So I was thinking we could play on words a bit and make like the title of the project Snowfall, but instead of having it be one word, it's going to be two. So that way you have the idea of like, you immediately sell this feeling of a snowfall, but then you also have two separate words, snow and fall, so that way you're selling this feeling of the story and the two characters being separate, all in like just the name of the project itself. Doing something like that is cool because then even if they don't have a visual of it, they can already have some kind of emotion towards it, some kind of feeling of like a snowfall. They know it's going to be like colder, kind of fall colors and stuff like that. So, you can play around with names of your project to kind of help sell the feeling ahead of time. Or you can play around with the general names of your project, make more of the project assets, and then decide the name later because you've now got a better feeling of everything as you've figured out the problems along the way. So, it just depends on how you want to handle it. But either way, that's pretty much for this stream, that's pretty much it for this stream. I am going to go ahead and just call it there, and I will be on the lookout on Discord for all your cool concept art projects that you guys post. Everything's neat. And I will see you guys in the next stream next Saturday. So take care, and I will see you guys then.